You ever see a rolling safe in a police raid right in the middle of a cul-de-sac with a big HOA, no overnight parking, Rule 12.4 sign strapped to it like it's some kind of twisted joke? Yeah, that happened. Red and blue lights bouncing off every window in Maple Crest Meadows, neighbors standing in their pajamas and house slippers clutching mugs and cell phones pretending they're not recording the whole thing. But trust me, everyone's getting this on video. And right there in the center, like she's starring in a bad reality show, stands Cynthia Marlowe. Pink fuzzy slippers, a silk robe, the word president stitched on the chest like she won it in a raffle. Mascara, running voice 2 octaves too high. "I demand to see a warrant," she shrieks. And the detective, who's got the patience of a dad at a Saturday soccer game, just gestures to the open garage and says, "You already did, ma'am?" The garage door's wide open, and it looks less like a place for minivans and Christmas lights and more like the lost and found of a banana republic. Piles of plastic HOA dues boxes, bankers' boxes labeled pool fund cash, and special assessment reserves, a cheap shredder coughing up receipts, and in a big blue tote rubber-banded stacks of cash, still in envelopes with homeowners' names sharpied on the front. Out on the driveway, just outside the yellow tape, I'm standing there in my ancient band tee and sweatpants, drinking my coffee, wearing the exact face of a guy who's been fined $300, $100 a day, because his recycling bin dared to be visible for a whopping 9 minutes after pickup. The detective holds up an envelope, reads my name off the front, looks at me. "That you?" I nod. "Yep, that's me." "You were told this went toward your account." "Oh yeah," I say, trying not to sound bitter. "And threatened with a lien if I didn't pay up." I laugh even though it ain't funny. Nice to know my money's been so safe. Cynthia lunges like she's gonna grab it. "That money was just temporarily stored," she hollers, "but the detective cuts her off cool as can be. Ma'am, you told our financial crimes unit the HOA didn't keep cash." And right then you could practically hear a pin drop. Someone in the crowd whispers, "Oh, she's cooked." The cops start cataloging all this evidence, and suddenly for everyone on Maple Crest Drive it's clear the $300 a day fine Cynthia used to bully us into line, they didn't just pay for her fancy countertops, they bought her a full-on police raid. Now, I wasn't always the guy with a folder full of receipts and a detective on speed dial. Nope. I was exactly what HOAs pretend they want. Quiet, tidy, didn't talk to anybody unless I had to. 34 technical writer, worked from home in a beige 2-story clone like all the rest, just outside Dallas, Texas. Most days I translated engineer speak into English for a living. Most nights I tinkered on my guitar or old game consoles or sat out on the porch with a beer watching the world pretend its grass was greener. I mowed on schedule, trimmed my edges, painted my shutters the approved earth tone like a good little drone. Hell, even my dog Milo wore a collar that matched the HOA palette. My life was aggressively normal, almost aggressively boring. And then along came Cynthia Marlowe, HOA president, power junkie, lemon cleaner addict. She turned our HOA from a once-a-year potluck committee into a 24/7 surveillance state. Suddenly we had a 167-page rule book, a monthly compliance bulletin, complete with grainy, blurred face photos of offenders, and a culture of fear so strong people took out their trash at 6:01 a.m. just to avoid a container window violation. She'd patrol the street in her white SUV with a giant Maple Crest compliance magnet slapped on the side. If she could have put a siren up there, she would have. For 4 years, I just played along. Moved my grill when she sent a note, trimmed my lawn. When she left a warning, figured this was the price for a decent school district. But then the fines started. Real ones. Not the kind you laugh off, the kind that come in certified envelopes and reek of threat. And it all started with a piece of tape and 3 inches of plastic. Garbage day Tuesday. My Zoom meeting ran late, so my bin sat by the curb till 4:03 instead of 4 hours. I come down, the bins are gone, but there's a neon orange notice taped to my door: immediate action required. Trash receptacle violation. Per Rule 7.2, $300 per day until compliance is verified. I stared at that notice, then at my now absent bins. How am I non-compliant when the bins are gone? I mutter, but there's no one to hear it. I email the HOA. Silence. I call, but get Cynthia's perky voicemail chirping about protecting property values. A week later, I get the statement: trash violation, 3 days non-compliance, $900. Add a $50 processing fee, and boom, $950 due. I blink, I refresh the website. I go digging for Rule 7.2. There it is, updated 6 months ago. Fines up to $300 per day at board discretion. I remembered the email about minor housekeeping changes. I stopped deleting HOA emails after that. Then came the flood weeds over 1.5 inches tall, $300 per day. Unapproved porch seating, $300 per day. Extension cord visible at Christmas, $300 per day. Every single day, the fine stacked higher. I started taking time-stamped photos, saved every email, but the statements kept coming: $950, $1, $850, $2, $900. At $4, $450, I get the first threat of a lien. Failure to remit in full within 15 days may result in a lien and foreclosure action. My chest tightened reading that. I call, email, even drive to the HOA office, a rented suite above a nail salon. Receptionist won't let me pass the lobby. Ms. Marlowe says all communication must be in writing, she says, sliding a generic email address across the desk. So I did the only thing left. I showed up at the monthly HOA meeting room, reeking of bad coffee and anxiety. Cynthia perched at the front, flanked by board members who looked like they'd rather be getting dental work. I wait through an hour of budgets and landscaping slides, then raise my hand: Evan Briggs. Lot 27. I'd like to dispute the $300 a day fines on my account. I've got photos, timestamps. Cynthia flashes a smile that doesn't touch her eyes. Fines are not subject to open floor discussion. You can submit your concerns in writing. I did, 4 times. No response. Perhaps you should be more careful with the rules, she chirps. It's not fair to the compliant homeowners if we don't enforce them. A few folks look away. I hold up my statement. You're charging me $300 a day because my cans were out for 3 extra minutes. Why the max fine every time? Her smile gets sharky. Because Mr. Briggs' chaos increases exponentially if not checked early. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't about order. This was about revenue. As I left, Joyce from Lot 31, sweetest little lady you ever met, slipped me a folded paper. Check your email tonight, she whispers. I do. It's a photo of an internal HOA bulletin board, a projected fine revenue 2023 chart. It looks less like a neighborhood plan and more like a business strategy. In the notes, someone scribbled, increase compliance sweeps. Focus on repeat offenders. $300 per day is a powerful motivator. CM. That was it. I started a folder, HOA receipts. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I am a technical writer with a bad habit of documenting everything. And a little sister, Marissa, who's a paralegal with a taste for petty vengeance. I called her up. Tell me everything, she says, already typing. I send over scanned statements, the revenue chart. She comes back the next day. Your state law says HOA members have the right to inspect financial records within 10 business days of a written request. Cool. Never seen a record in my life. Ask for them. Certified mail. Keep the receipt. We draft the letter, quote, the exact law request, 3 years of budgets, bank statements, every fine and board minute. I send it certified return receipt. 10 business days later. Nothing. Day 11, I get an email from legal@maplercompliance.org, mail to legal@maplercompliance.org with a PDF on phony letterhead, Marlowe and Associates Counselors at Law. Says my request is harassment, accuses me of defamation, threatens more fines and immediate legal action. Marissa cracks up. Evan, that's not a real law firm. Cynthia isn't even a lawyer. You gotta be kidding me. Nope. You know who'll love this? The state attorney general. Sure enough, we file a complaint. 3 weeks later, a detective calls. Sergeant Dawson, Financial Crimes Unit. Not promising anything, but you've got documentation. That makes you interesting. I send him everything. Fake legal letters, fine schedules, revenue charts, screenshots showing dues paid but pool repairs never funded. Dawson just whistles. If she's running fine payments through anything but the HOA account, she's got a problem bigger than trash cans. A month passes. Cynthia gets quieter, emails go from chirpy to cold. Compliance Corner disappears from the newsletter. Then one morning I spot a stranger snapping pictures of houses. Next HOA agenda transition to professional management company. The walls are closing in. And then the night it all broke, the HOA meeting says closed session legal counsel. Instead of a lawyer in walk two detectives. And instead of advice, they leave with boxes. Things shift fast after that. Board members won't meet Cynthia's eyes. Sergeant Dawson swings by my place, leaves with a thumb drive labeled HOA Receipts Updated. Then I get a fat envelope from the county. You are listed as a complainant and potential witness in an active investigation into financial irregularities involving Maple Crest Meadows HOA. My stomach does a backflip. Marissa texts, "Just cooperate. Don't delete anything." I print out everything, even the FAQ page that said HOA never accepts cash before it suddenly vanished. 2 weeks later, emergency board meeting. Notice says board only, but in the fine print, homeowners may attend, no open floor. Half the neighborhood shows up packed into folding chairs. Cynthia tries to open with, "There have been malicious rumors," when Sergeant Dawson steps in badge on display. "Ms. Marlowe, we need to speak with you. We're here with a warrant." Cynthia sputters, "Who put you up to this?" "Was it you?" stabbing her finger at me. Dawson just says, "This involves multiple complaints and documentary evidence. We need access to all HOA records on site and any assets stored under your control." Board members go pale. Cynthia clutches her president binder to her chest like a security blanket as they walk her out. After that, board members treat me like I'm radioactive, or maybe like I'm a canary in a coal mine that actually made it out alive. But the real fireworks come the next week in Cynthia's driveway, 7:42 a.m., muggy Texas morning. Diesel engines, sheriff's department, SUVs, crime scene van, tape going up. I step outside, arms crossed, Milo at my heels, just in time to watch the garage get cracked open. At first it looks normal. Boxes, Christmas decorations, that treadmill nobody ever uses. But as the cops start opening stuff, pool fund box, full of cash and checks. Envelopes marked Lot 14 Special Assessment. Shoe boxes of crumpled 20s. Dawson calls my name, holds up an envelope. My own handwriting. HOA fine payment $900. I paid cash at the office because they said checks took too long. Dawson shows me the stamp Deposit CM. Not in the HOA account, he says. They find tubs of envelopes, a lockbox of coins, PayPal receipts routed to Marlowe Community Solutions, 2 sets of board minutes, one for show, one marked "Don't Show Board." At the top of the email pile, that fake law firm letterhead. Dawson glances at me. "Your sister's bar search was helpful." Cynthia, at the edge of the tape, is screaming, "I was just holding funds off book to protect them. People like him would sue Dawson." "Ma'am, you told investigators under oath that the HOA never accepts cash." She opens her mouth, then closes it as the deputies bring out cuffs. "You can't do this to me. I built this community. You're under arrest for suspected felony theft, fraud, and tampering with a government record." Dawson says, reading her rights. She does not stay quiet. As they load her in the cruiser, she locks eyes with me. "This is your fault, you and your trash cans." I just shrug. I just wanted to pay fair dues and not get extorted. You made the rest of these choices. The cruiser door thunks shut. Sweetest sound I've heard in years. The whole street watched the guardian of property values get driven off, hands cuffed past the perfect lawns she ruled with an iron fist. Next day, the local news runs her mugshot suburban HOA president arrested in $180,000 embezzlement scheme. In the background, you can hear a neighbor mutter, "I guess that's where our pool resurfacing money went." Cynthia pled out. Embezzlement, forgery, tampering with records. Got 18 months in county jail, 5 years probation restitution, and a lifetime ban from every HOA or nonprofit board. Her mugshot went viral in our group chats. As the judge read the sentence, Cynthia broke down mascara-free and shaking legs buckling under her. And I stood there thinking all I ever wanted was to put my recycling bin out on time and not get fleeced. So here's my question for you, sitting out there in your own quiet, supposedly safe neighborhood. Do you really know what's going on behind your HOA's doors? Have you ever pushed back when the rules stop making sense? Or do you just pay up and hope someone else will fight the fight? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me your wildest HOA story, or just where you draw the line between keeping order and keeping people honest. Because in the end, justice isn't just a word on a sign. Sometimes it's a folder of receipts, a stubborn neighbor, and the guts to say enough.